Joining me now, Congressman Brian Babin. Congressman, thanks for joining the show.
Great to be with you, Charles.
A lot of speculation over the last 24 hours whether or not the tweet and now officially calling what I was saying was a travel moratorium a ban, what kind of impact that could have legally.
You know, legally there shouldn't be a case, Charles. This president, like previous presidents, has the absolute legal right to restrict or to increase refugees from places that he feels like are detrimental to our national security. I think the entire thing here, Charles, is the very fact that we have activist judges, Ninth Circuit, activist liberal judges that are at the district level that simply are interpreting his words in a manner in which they want to further their own political agenda. Americans are at risk here. It's proven. Our Western allies are at risk. The political correctness that is going on with our programs for refugees and immigrants and migrants is absurd. And when we have people getting maimed and killed, they still want to continue to allow people in from countries that are absolutely hotspots of terror with no centralized government or central repository of information so that we can't vet these people properly. I think it just makes common sense to restrict this. I have a bill that would do the exact same thing that I introduced a year and a half ago, and I applaud President Trump, and I hope this gets to the Supreme Court quickly, and I hope that they will uphold his absolute legal authority to protect Americans.
What do you say, though? We saw a major decline in refugees early on, peaking, well, sort of hitting the low, rather, in March, and now they're starting to pick up again. In the top 5 countries, you've got Syria and Somalia, 2 names on that travel ban.
That's right.
You know, what does that say? Does it say that this is really still an open-minded administration? Even though we know that those are potentially terrorist hotbeds, is that a pro or a con for the administration?
Well, you know what? All I can say is, Charles, is that I think the proof's in the pudding. These are absolute hotspots that the Obama administration chose when he was still in office by the administration. We have 50 or more Muslim majority countries in the world today. This is 6. Again, these are failed states or enemies, known enemies of America, like Iran, and I think it just makes common sense. So I can tell you that the president is within his legal rights to do what he's doing, and again, it's not just the executive orders. We need to pass a law to make sure that no future president can undo these executive orders.
Let me, before I let you go, sir, you know, we hear that being politically correct is hurting us. It's hurting our country, making us unsafe. I'd like to know what a non-political correct policy looks like. Give us an example. If we could throw political correctness out the window, what would our policy look like?
Great question. I think, number one, you got to identify the problem. I mean, for 8 years, when our president, the administration would not even call it for what it is, radical Islam. These are terrorists. These aren't Baptists and Catholics running around cutting people's heads off. These are radical Islamic terrorists, and that's the first thing we have to do, and I think the president has done so. He's being branded as some kind of a bigot for that, when in reality it is nothing but political correctness. This so-called diversity is getting people killed, and you know, we have to identify the problem. We've got to have extreme vetting. We know that even during Obama's years, the FBI director and his Homeland Security Secretary told us that they could not properly vet people from countries like Syria. So we've got to do that. We've got to stop those and pause the influx of these people from these areas. This is what I call non-politically correct vetting and identifying the problem.
Or some might call it common sense vetting as well. Representative Babin, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.
Thanks a lot. Speaking of the